Hello folks, it's nearly 3:30 p.m. on the 16th of June 2020. Yeah, I'm going to tell you something. I was a bit annoyed about something earlier. I was watching a video and they're talking about Black Lives Matter, that sort of stuff, and police killing people that were brown, that sort of stuff. And I mentioned one which was Derrick Scott. He died shortly after being arrested, but not the same sort of thing at all. But they were using that as the same thing, which was wrong. Silly. When the police arrived to talk to him, because someone had said that there's this brown man in the area who's having an argument with someone and he has a gun, so of course the police turned up. When the police turned up, he stood there, hands up. As soon as the police approached him, he started to run off. When they called him, he was on the floor. He then said he couldn't breathe. He had asthma. But he didn't tell them he had asthma. He didn't tell them he needed a pump. He just said, I'm struggling to breathe. That's it. He died soon afterwards. What are you doing? You have asthma. Right? The police just want to talk to you about something that's been reported. You've got your hands up. Why are you going to run away? You know you've been videoed. Yeah? Is that the whole point? Is this what people are doing? Because you had that one the other day. Rayshard Brooks, again, ran away. Yeah, resisted arrest right at the last minute. Everything was calm, everything was good. As soon as the police came in to deal with the situation, suddenly you run away. What is going on? Yeah, if you believe that police are more likely or will be trigger happy when a brown person resists arrest or gives them any reason to shoot, what are you doing giving them reason to do that? Yeah, this is not the same category. This has been lumped as the same thing as George Floyd. It's nowhere near the same thing. Nowhere near. Now, whether this Derrick Scott, whether he was involved in the argument, had a gun, don't know. Just know he was told that. The original person said this was the what's it called now? One second. It was I still can't find. Oh, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. It was his latest one, and John Oliver used to be someone who you could sort of look at and respect to a certain degree for what he was doing, but he's just another right left idiot, really now, spouting this crap without checking it out, without really thinking about it. It's just this leftist rubbish. You know, they're after the police, and he is. That's all he cares about is another little dig. You know, whether it's warranted, because he said that after Derrick Scott said he couldn't breathe, the police officer said, I don't care. Now, it's quite possible the police officer did say, I don't care, because at that point in time, the police officer would have been bloody annoyed at the fact he went over to talk to this man, then he started running away, resisting arrest. It's like, for goodness sake. What's the point of that? I mean, would have it even been in the police officer's minds? Is this person trying to get shot? Yeah? What is this person trying to do? It's insane. Now, of course, there's demand that this officer is held accountable. But yeah, hold him accountable. But I don't see what he did wrong. Because again, they're trying to equate it to the George Floyd situation where he said he couldn't breathe. Completely different flipping issue. This officer was not on Derrick Scott's neck or putting any pressure on his neck at all. He was being held quite loosely by the officer, really, in the video. That's all you could see. I'll include the video. I'll include the link. It's a CNN thing where they show the video. I'll include that to this. You can look at it yourself and have a look. I say, what I don't get is, if you believe the police are going to be trigger happy, what on earth are you doing? As soon as the police have been called, lay down on the bloody floor, hands outstretched, let them know that you are not a threat, you are not trying to resist arrest, you are not trying to fight them, you don't have any way of hurting them. You are there on the floor, you are of no threat to them in any way, shape, or form. That's what you do. Right? If you really believe. Otherwise, stop preaching this crap about the police just want to kill you. Because if you're going to be doing this, running away and resisting arrest as soon as a police officer tries to carry out their job, which is their job, you're going to be screaming at the police are being out of order for doing their job. Of course, in the case of Rayshard Brooks, the police officer was right to try and arrest him. His blood alcohol level was way over what it should be. He admitted he'd been driving his car. So with all that concerned, of course, the police officer was right to try and arrest him. The police officer, was he right to try and tase him? According to them, if someone's resisting arrest, maybe, but I would say no. I would say there must be other things. You're training, surely you must have been trained to deal with someone trying to resist arrest. Surely your training doesn't just mean as soon as someone tries to resist, you taser them. So the police, not sure about that. But is it understandable that the police officer shot Mr. Brooks? Yeah. I'm not saying it's right, I'm saying it's understandable. From the point of view of if you're a police officer and you see a person who's stolen your taser trying to taser another police officer, you're too far away to use your button, too far away to use your taser. The only thing you've got is your gun. What are you going to do? If you had 100 officers seriously asked that question, being put in that position, they would shoot. They would shoot no matter what colour of skin the person had that was trying to taser the officer. They would shoot. Because some officers, if they haven't actually been tasered, they know that being tasered is incredibly painful. Incredibly painful. It's like basically, it's not quite as bad, but it's similar to you have a plug in a socket. You've taken the wires off the other end of the plug. You're holding them to an officer. You're going to zap him with 240 volts, or in America, whatever the equivalent is for that. If you were going to do that and another police officer had the choice to shoot you or let you do that to his fellow officer, what's the officer going to do? You're dead. You're dead. You're trying to put electricity into a police officer. That is an offence. When you're acting in an offence, the other officer is trying to stop you. What has he got that he can use? The only thing he has got is the gun. Now, I would have preferred the officers, both of them, to let Mr. Brooks run away with the taser. I don't think he would have tasered or tried to taser anyone. I think for some reason he decided to run away. He panicked. Why? I don't know. I have no idea at all as to why he panicked. He just did. So, right, okay. Let him run away, deal with that situation later. Yet when he's sobered up a bit, when he's calmed down a bit, when you can have the situation a bit more under control. That probably would have been the better thing to do, but they made decisions right there and then. But as soon as the other officer started chasing Rayshard Brooks, and tried to stun him, taser him, then the other officer was left with very little choice, really. See your fellow officer possibly tasered, or take the person out, the criminal, take him out. The reason why I say criminal is quite simply because of the fact that he had been drink driving and he was about to be arrested for that. So therefore, it would be right to call Rayshard Brooks a criminal at that point in time. That's okay. He made a mistake. He didn't die from it. He didn't. But Rayshard Brooks and Derrick Scott's situation is nothing anywhere near the situation of George Floyd. That was completely different. Completely different. And what Derek Chauvin did to Mr. Floyd was completely different. Was on another level. Completely. As I say, the officer with Derek Scott, I watched the video. At least a bit of it. I didn't see the officer say, "I don't care." So. But this was in 2019, actually. So that was a while back. This is before the George Floyd issue. So it wasn't afterwards, it was before. But as I say, if you're in a situation, if you're a police officer and you've got to run someone down when there was really no need to do so, you're going to be a bit bloody annoyed. And I think that's understandable. So, how many people that you deal with claim they can't breathe or they're struggling to breathe when they get arrested? I think a lot of people fakely claim that, right? So that the officer will get off them so that they maybe have a chance to get away again. Yeah? Or so maybe the officer will get off them so their face isn't pinned to the floor. So, don't run away. If you believe that you could die for any reason, then don't do the thing that could lead to your death. If you have asthma and it's pretty bad, don't go running away from the police. Because you're going to get short of breath because you have bad asthma. So don't put yourself in that situation. Crazy business. But and if you're on the left, stop trying to join up these blinking dots that don't join up. That's what they're doing. And excuse me for the language in this one. It's not ultra swearing, but it's a little bit sweary. So just the whole thing just annoys me. It annoyed me that John Oliver was using this case to try and say it's the same as George Floyd when it's nowhere near. And it annoyed me that this man died needlessly. Same as Rayshard Brooks. He died for no reason. Don't resist arrest. Especially if you have that colour skin where you think the police are going to be trigger happy. Don't give them a chance to go near the trigger. Don't give them a chance. You can't blame them for shooting you when you give them every flipping opportunity and every reason. But certainly some reason, not every reason, correct, some reason to do so. You can't really have a go at them for that. You have to take some responsibility. Now, of course, Derrick Scott and Rayshard Brooks can no longer take responsibility. But Black Lives Matter have got to start speaking to people and saying to people, if you're in a situation where you're confronted with the police, don't give them any reason to fire. Any at all. As I said, there was that case where, as I apologise again for not remembering this man's name, although I don't remember ever being given. not in the video that I saw of it, where the man was talking to a friend or to somebody, where the car door was open. He was crouching down there, and the police officer was telling him to drop his weapon. That situation shows really that the tension is extreme. So why push it? Now, that man didn't push it. That man just did what the female officer was telling him to do. And she killed him because of it. And that should have been, that officer should be facing charges. That policewoman should have been facing charges for that. There was no reason for her to fire her gun at all. She certainly, without a doubt, should not spend any time in the police force again. She should be removed from the police force because she doesn't have the mental capacity to do her job. That fear that she was under was too much for her to be able to handle. So she should be out, not because she's a woman, but because of her and her individually, what she did. There was no doubt at all. In that case, she should have been charged. And at the least, she should have been kicked out of the police because, as I say, any officer who is likely to fire because of that fear, you've had it, where officers have said, "Oh, I killed that innocent person because I was afraid." You are a police officer. What the bloody hell are you doing making decisions out of fear? Well, you're killing innocent people without even a weapon. And you're killing them because I was afraid. What are you doing being a police officer? If you can't handle the fear, you shouldn't be in that job. Imagine those people in the army. If they were in the army and they were in any situation in the army, anytime a civilian came near them, they'd be opening fire. They would have been dealt with in the army. They'd have been kicked out of that, but not the police force. It's crazy. So everything about that is so incredibly frustrating. How a system can be in place that allows all that to happen. How people themselves can be so dumb in the moment to do things that end up ending their own lives. It's crazy. Don't run away. Don't do a Derrick Scott or a Rayshard Brooks. Don't do that. No, I'm not saying if you don't do that, you won't be killed. You may still be killed. But you're far less likely to be. Far less likely. There may be a 10% chance that you'll come across this bad officer who, even with you laying on the floor with your hands behind your back, they're still going to open fire. But the chances of that happening is so incredibly slim. 10 million to 1 maybe. You run away or you start resisting arrest, then the chance of you being shot becomes so much more likely. Stop doing that. Don't expect the police to do all the changing. You've got to change. If you truly believe that there is this racism against you from the police and that they don't care if they kill you, stop doing the things you do that give them the excuses to do that. Now, whether they're right to do that is not the point necessarily. The fact that they have an excuse is really all that matters. The situation of Rayshard Brooks, I don't think the officer is going to be found guilty of anything who shot him. I don't think he is. Because really he shouldn't be. Although he should. It's complicated, isn't it? It's not simple. And if you think back to the way it was dealt with, mistakes were made early on by both parties that sort of led to the situation where, well, as I say, the officer in the Rayshard Brooks situation should have realised his taser didn't work earlier, the one that Rayshard stole. So it was unlikely to work on his fellow officer. So maybe he didn't need to shoot. The problem is that, as I said, out of 100 officers put in that situation, most will fire. Most would fire to prevent their fellow officer being tasered by a criminal. Now, whether that's right or wrong, most would do it. Most would support that. And I think the disciplinary board would actually acknowledge that as well and accept that. Of course, we as people, not in the police force, would say, well, hold it. If tasering is that bad, then why do you taser people? Why do you do that? Why do you think it's okay for you to taser people, but that somebody has to be shot if they look like they're trying to taser your fellow officer? But that itself is a different question. That's not the point of, is that officer guilty of murdering Rayshard Brooks? That's a completely different thing. So there you go. As I say, the left, you're going to lose the battle. You really are. All these people that say they support Black Lives Matter, if you try and include all these cases that are nothing like George Floyd in the George Floyd situation, you're going to water down everything. And then this whole movement that has been built up is going to flop. So stop trying to pile stuff on top and say that that is equal or that is the same as. It's not the same as. It shouldn't be mentioned in the same breath. What happened to Derrick Scott was really an unfortunate situation where why he died, I don't know. No idea. Certainly a case where if he had asthma, it might have been asthma. Don't know. Difficult, isn't it? Yeah. It's sad that he died. It really is. It's sad that that man died and died needlessly, really. But had he not run away from the police, would he have been in that situation? No. Anyway, there you go. I just read most of the report, and the poor lad died of a collapsed lung, apparently. And it wasn't straight away, it was at least an hour or so after being arrested. Oh dear. Not good, anyway. Okay, I'll speak to you later again. God bless. Bye bye.